Welcome, friends, to the Here I Go Again podcast, where we discuss life, faith, politics, and a whole lot more. I'm your host, Rob Standridge, and I'm glad you're joining us today. So with that, here we go. Welcome to the Here I Go Again podcast. This is our, oh my gosh, don't lose count. I think it's our 8th episode, and our guest is President Bob Linn, President of OPAC, Bob Linn. And you'll have to remind me the acronym. I think it's Oklahoma Conservative Political Action Committee. Is that right?
Well, that was what it was for 30 years. We, a few years ago, started OPAC Foundation.
Oh, the foundation.
Which is Original Constitutional Principles Affecting Culture. And so that is a tax-deductible foundation.
The 501c3.
Right. So I still lead the old OPAC.
Right.
But most of the activity you see and everything is around the OPAC Foundation. And we're mainly educational.
The foundation's more educational.
Yes.
Well, welcome aboard, Bob. So in general, how's life going?
Well, it's been very busy. Been very busy. We've been in the middle just personally of, major home remodels. So that's...
Are you doing it yourself?
Well, we've been the general.
Oh, the general contractor. Okay.
Yes, and one of our sons has helped with that. But no, we've hired contractors and just keeping up with them. They like to come early in the morning.
Yeah.
But they've done a fabulous job. Yeah.
Well, we touched on OPAC, so I think we talked off camera before about how I'd like to give you a spot. We're recording this just a few days before your last meeting, OPAC, for the season, which meets at the Oklahoma History Center.
Yes.
And we had Charlie Meadows on a couple weeks ago, who was one of the presidents before you a few years ago. So before we get deep into OPAC, why don't you tell our listeners, our viewers, about what I got a teaser on, which looks like an awesome meeting coming up Wednesday. So if you could tell us a little bit about that meeting, what's planned for it.
Well, it is. Many of our meetings turn out to be really exciting.
Oh, yeah, for meetings.
Sure. And they're well done. We're very professional in the way we do things there at the History Center. But this one has the gubernatorial candidates, the GOP candidates.
How many of them will be there?
Well, we've only invited 4.
Okay.
And those are the 4 that I would consider GOP candidates. So we haven't invited Mr. Drummond.
Gettner Drummond, who's the Attorney General now, so he won't be there.
No.
Okay.
And, many people in the GOP consider him a Democrat, so I won't comment further on that. But,
What's your meeting?
Yeah, represented there will be Charles McCall.
Okay, so you have Charles McCall,
Chip Keating, Mike Mazie,
who's a friend of mine. I'm not here to endorse anybody. I served a lot of years with Mike Mazie. He's a great guy.
That's
Chip
right.
Keating's a great guy, and you and your 4th would be Jake Merrick, I assume.
Jake Merrick.
Okay, so 4 superstars of GOP politics are going to be there.
Right.
Are they all speaking, debating, fighting, wrestling? What are you going to have them do?
Well, we're going to start the meeting. I think Wade Burleson is on our board.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Wade was pastor.
Oh, he's on your board for the foundation, I assume?
He is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. He was pastor of Emmanuel Baptist for 30 years, 3,000-member church up in Enid. Fabulous speaker. He's retired, and he spends all of his time speaking and writing. And he's a speaker trainer for corporations.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, but when you hear him speak, you say, wow, that guy can...
Yeah, no, he's good. He
can tell you how to tie your shoes and make it exciting.
You're right. He's the John Maxwell or Dale Carnegie, right, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wade and I talked a month or so ago. He had been to Madeira, Portugal, and bought some of their wine. Okay. It happens to be where Alexander Hamilton bought a shipload of wine.
Load?
A ship load of wine.
Okay.
Of wine.
Okay.
You won't have to edit that out
that's fine.
If you listen carefully. Yeah, he brought back a ship loaded with Madeira wine.
Okay. From Portugal.
From Portugal.
Okay. Portuguese.
That's 251 years ago in 1775.
Okay.
And as it approached the harbor, the British confiscated all of that Madeira wine. Obviously, it hacked off Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
And the rest of the founders. It was quite upsetting. I won't say that's why they went forward with the declaration, but it was one little.
If we could be back in that time, you think that was the tipping point? That's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah,
pissed off about the tea and all of this other stuff, but man, don't mess with our
exactly
wine. Yeah, so.
That's very expensive stuff.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
So a year later, they write and sign the Declaration of Independence, and in memory of what had happened a year before, they toast that signing with Madeira wine.
Okay.
And so Wade's going to tell that story in a way only Wade can tell it.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
Wade's going to have Madeira wine there at the meeting. Wade and I as a theological old-time Presbyterian, old-fashioned, as back when they were hellfire and
a little bit
brimstone
more
preacher.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I like to joke with my Pentecostal and Baptist friends about the differences, but Wade is obviously a Baptist pastor, so we're going to have a Presbyterian and Baptist toast to the 250th celebration.
Well, Whitfield, was he Presbyterian, right?
Most of their founders were influenced by the Puritans were Presbyterian.
Well, he's the
yes,
star.
Whitfield was.
Yeah, he's the star of that movie. I downloaded it the other day. It's not Amazing Grace. Anyway, it's a movie about his part to play in the Revolution, which was a big part.
Well, theology drives civilizations, and
sorry, I got you off track, but back
that's
to
fine.
Wade Burleson's going to tell the story.
Yeah, and we think, because if you look at our promo, you see all those candidates with the glass of wine toasting to the 250th. So we imagine, I got their permission to print that, but we imagine they'll all come on stage and toast to the 250th. So we'll have these governor candidates all toasting. We're going to bring enough wine glasses for everybody.
Well, that'll be cool. Oh,
no, just the gubernatorial candidate.
Oh, okay.
Not the whole.
It's not a communion.
Not the whole
not
round.
Okay.
No. But I'm sure
everybody's going to be going, "Where's my wine?"
We'll probably sip only a communion size sip of the wine. But that'll be great at the 250th celebration. We'll have all these gubernatorial candidates
that'll
toasting.
Be awesome.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm most excited about in the meeting.
I know they're campaigning hard. So the meeting is this coming Wednesday.
Yes.
Well, Wednesday of this week, which is May 27th, right? And you can come as early as like 11:30, but it starts at noon, right?
Yeah, the setup staff gets there at 9:30, so the doors open I think at 10 to the History Center.
Okay.
And people start coming in, but we've got also Ty England, country western star.
Okay, yeah.
Who's there, and he's been there with us before. Just fabulous voice.
So he's going to sing while he's
going to sing.
Oh,
He'll start singing at 11:45.
Oh, cool. Wow,
sing some of his cool stuff, and he's going to help us sing "God Bless America." And we're going to end the meeting. Former U.S. Attorney General John Ashcroft was one of our speakers this year. Actually, it was last year.
Yeah, I was there for that. General Ashcroft is awesome. Yeah.
Phenomenal guy.
And I think you followed up that speaking. I think you went and visited him or something.
We flew
in Missouri, right?
We did. One of our members flew us out, Senator Jed and I, and we flew out to meet with him. And he knows all kinds of people. But what I loved everything about that meeting. Incredible sense of humor. Yeah. But he ended the meeting. He also sings and plays the piano. So we had the grand piano. There's a grand piano in the room. We had it right up front. We had our piano player on it. And so he's leading us to close the meeting in "This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine." Something we all learned in Sunday school.
Right, yeah.
And so as he's leading us, we're playing the piano. Everybody's singing that. He jumps off the stage and starts tinkling the piano in the upper keys and jazzing it up. It was quite a show.
Yeah.
But we're going to sing that again with Ty England.
Okay.
To close our meeting.
And is John going to be there? John Ashcroft?
No, John won't be here.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I could call and ask him. Yeah. He would
buzz down.
Well, what he told us last time, we had to fly him in. We flew and got him.
Okay.
He says, I don't really want to drive. I can, but I'd rather not.
That's a good drive, probably.
It's a good drive, and it's a quick flight.
Yeah, for sure.
We flew right into the airport, and it was quick picking him up, and he's delightful to talk to.
Well, that sounds like it's going to be a great meeting. During session, you guys meet every week or every other week during session.
Well,
right?
we were, and that was Doug Pithaw. Doug is an activist from Enid, Oklahoma, on our board, and Doug was really wanting to get under the skin of our legislators and make sure they know, hey,
Yeah.
we're here.
Yeah, yeah.
And we do get a lot of them that come. Then we have started last year. I needed a sabbatical, so I proposed.
That's
to
because you have to deal with Shane Jett all the time. I'm sure.
Exactly.
Right. I thought so. Yeah.
He's a headache. I mean, never answers his phone, but he's still a headache.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Shane Jett is a very close friend, and so I told the board I proposed. I said, I don't get paid. My income
Right.
comes from other
Really?
sources.
Oh, the listeners and viewers would be surprised that you're not rolling in it up there. So that's good. No PAC money, no lobbyist money. Just Bob's volunteering to help with the cause.
Yeah, we have income from other sources, and I would love to get paid, but we're not rich enough. We're not a multi-million-dollar PAC, and then I might feel more comfortable taking a salary. I certainly put the work in.
Oh, absolutely. So when did you? I remember the tumultuous time when you kind of took over,
Right?
Because OPAC and Charlie Meadows and I touched on this when he was here. I mean, there might have been embers. I mean, there wasn't much there. And so when was that? I'm trying to remember. It was like right around COVID or right before COVID?
It was before COVID.
Okay. Like a couple years or?
It's been 6 or 7 years.
6 or 7. My son will like that. I'll say 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So, do you know that's what kids are saying all the time? I don't know why. Do you know why? I don't know why.
No, I have no idea.
So you weren't joking. Then.
No, I
6
wasn't
or 7.
joking.
6 or 7.
It's 6 or 7.
6 or 7. Gotcha. 6, 7. 6. They usually say 6, 7. 6, 7.
My guess is coming this September it'll be 7. But
7. Okay.
That would be my
Or
guess. Yeah, 6.
7. Okay. So 7 years at the helm, and I mean, I'll just tell you that you're doing a fantastic job. You have from the beginning, and I mean, it was such a great group. I remember seeing Charlie Meadows setting up in the chamber in the House, and had robust meetings, and people very involved, legislators, and so that kind of disappeared for a time until you took over. Now you go, like my wife, Senator Standers, she was there for a meeting I think last week, and it was great, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I don't remember, but anyway, Senator Julie McIntosh was one of your speakers, so
Right.
Lisa went up there to support her and listen to her, so you get lots of legislators. So how was it when you took over, and how do you feel like it is today compared to then?
Well,
without throwing anybody totally under the bus.
Yeah, it had declined, and the person between me and Charlie wanted to shut it down.
Oh, just stop it.
Stop it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that part.
Yeah, we were in a phone conversation. He wanted to turn it into a Bible study,
Okay.
or a church, which with that, I had no interest in that. And then 2 members approached me and asked if I'd take over as president. And my wife said, absolutely not.
Okay, yeah.
But Dr.
Got her blessing right away.
Yeah. Dr. P. Andrew Sandlin, who had spoken to OPAC, and he and I had become friends. He's a scholarly man leading a Center for Cultural Leadership. Told me I absolutely had to. So, I remembered back a few thousand years ago what happened to our first parents when the husband listened to the wife, and that didn't go well.
So you were trying to take advice from Adam. So you just...
I thought, well, Adam shouldn't have listened to Eve, really.
And now what do you say?
So I'm thinking...
Maybe Eve was right.
I'm thinking I'm going to listen to Dr. Sandlin. No, Jane now, I mean, she used to not go to OPAC.
Yeah, I think I remember that. At the beginning, she didn't go that much, and now
No.
she goes all the time.
She
The
had
last
no-
few meetings I've been to, she's been there.
Yeah, well, we met in not attractive places.
Right. True that. Yeah.
And
Kind of small sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, so as things grew and developed, we always try to be classy. And, of course, now we're at the Oklahoma History Center.
Which is extremely classy. It's very nice.
It is very classy, right across, just north of the governor's mansion,
Right.
just east of the
So
Capitol.
you go have breakfast with the governor. And then
Absolutely.
You jump over and have the meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get in this helicopter and we go over
Fly across,
from
yeah.
one parking lot to the other.
Right.
But it's been a fabulous location because it's sort of part of Oklahoma's government.
Oh, the History Center is, but I would argue that OPAC is. OPAC is influential in the legislature. It's influential in races. I mean, you have these folks, they want to be there. They want to visit with some of the real conservatives in Oklahoma that come there, and they follow what OPAC does. So go back just briefly. I mean, they asked you to do that, which very thankful that they did, and that you hopefully you don't ignore Jane often, but you went with your gut, which for men often doesn't work right, but it worked right then. So
Right.
before then, when did the political bug bite you? When did you think, okay, I'm going to pay attention to politics?
Well, that's interesting. I was more of in college, I was a student. I was in the leading trumpet studio for a year and a half at the Indiana University School of Music.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and you might remember Indiana University used to have a basketball team,
Yeah.
Bobby Knight, and
Yeah.
I wound up getting my degree in math and physics.
So you threw a trumpet instead of a chair.
Well, yeah, I did.
Take that.
I took a lot of philosophy and did well. Actually, I thought, hey, that might, because I was at the top of my class in philosophy, even the most difficult classes, and I thought, well, that maybe I might be better in that than math and physics, and took a lot of Russian literature. I'd always been interested. As a kid, I read Dostoevsky and was impressed out of my mind with Dostoevsky, so that was in high school. But in terms of politics, as you know, I went on the staff with Campus Crusade for Christ, and I was involved with them for 10 years. So the political bug, I don't know when that hit, but I'm a Bible student, and I read a lot of theology, and I think about things, but I actually read my Bible. And unlike most of the church, regrettably to say, most of the church reads a section of the Bible that was written over a period of about 50 years, ignoring the huge section that was written over a period of 1,500
Well, and they only
years.
read the Cliff Notes for the short part either. Yeah, they don't read, because it's got some pretty tough stuff in there as well. But we don't want to touch that. So
Exactly. So when you start from the beginning reading your Bible, which is the only way to get an architectural structure of what God is thinking.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What is God thinking about? Well, let's see what.
And what does he expect of us?
Yeah, what was he thinking about in Genesis chapter 1?
Right.
What was on his mind? And when we get to verse 28, we find out he told Adam, when Adam was first created, 1 nanosecond after that creation, had Jesus not come to Adam and explained to him the facts of life, Adam would have stood there at the door of the Garden of Eden, looking on the creation, and he said, "Who am I? Why am I here? How did I get here? And what is all of this?"
Right.
And
Which is what we do every day we wake up. Right?
Well, philosophers who don't know Jesus,
right.
They talk about metaphysics.
Yeah, sure.
They talk about protology, teleology.
What's teleology?
Teleology is thinking about the purpose of things.
Okay.
And, protology, how did I get here? Ontology
I'd heard
is
protology, but I hadn't heard teleology.
Yeah, and that's different than proctology.
I've heard, yes, a little different direction, different approach.
Yeah, and ontology. And so when we don't know, so once the Lord Jesus told that to Adam, he all of a sudden knew, I'm created by the Creator in his image.
Right.
Jesus told him, I put my image in you. And you're here to exercise dominion over the planet. And you're here to fill the planet, with little boys and girls. That means that gorgeous woman standing over there, you're going to enjoy her company on a regular basis so you can produce progeny. So that was Adam's. And if we don't understand that fundamental starting point, we have no hope of understanding the rest of the scriptures throughout the Old Testament, and no hope to understand the New. Without the Old Testament, we have no backbone as a church, and that is our problem today.
Oh, there is very little backbone, because if you touch on the truth and love in the Bible, which there's a lot of it, and there's a lot in the New Testament too. I mean, Corinthians, Timothy. There's some good stuff in there that can tell you a little bit how to live. I mean, I think for me, my Christian faith is very simple. I believe the Bible is written on our hearts, and yes, read the Bible. It reinforces what you already know, but you know that we're here to have dominion. You know that boys are boys and girls are girls. You know that, being mean to somebody's not right, or killing somebody. I mean, all of these things we know, and they're written. You know that some stupid, underperforming male athlete shouldn't be over there beating the crap out of some little girl. I mean, anybody knows that's not right, but yet people are so averse to there being a higher power that they go out of their way, I think, to condemn everything that they know is right. I don't. That's a part of today's culture that escapes me sometimes. I mean, I can understand, lying and cheating to, for the almighty dollar. I mean, that humans have done that since the beginning of time. But today's world, it almost seems like some are lying and cheating and misbehaving just to flip God off. I mean, just to poke it in his face, say, you don't know what you're talking about, old man. Does it feel like that to you?
Well, absolutely. And, I was listening to a gentleman, I cannot remember his name. He's a PhD, just left Cambridge. He was tenured at Cambridge. He could have done anything he wanted. He could have screwed up any way he wanted. They couldn't fire him. He left of his own volition because he came to the conclusion that not only was Cambridge at a point where it no longer thought there was such a thing as truth, but so have all the other universities in the West.
Oh, yeah.
Harvard, Yale. No university today would tell you that there's such a thing as truth. And this is the issue I have here in Oklahoma with our boards of regents.
Oh, yeah.
And our presidents. But when you have a formal posture that there is no truth, there is no longer a reason to have a university. There's no longer a reason to grade papers. Nothing means anything.
Yeah,
because there is no truth.
Yeah, this recent event at OU with the Turning Point USA kid, and how she dared share her faith, or just a tiny bit of her faith, in a paper she wrote, and essentially they threw her to the wolves. And to this day, I think they've never done anything to make that right. They give people paid administrative leave as punishment. Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, that was.
I'll take some paid. Let me misbehave, get some paid administrative leave, because they can find him another job. They'll put him somewhere else, guaranteed. And so, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was Samantha Folnacki.
Yeah.
And so I got in touch with Samantha soon after that happened, and she spoke at our meeting.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And we actually had news media from all over Oklahoma there. Fundamentally, they wanted to interview Samantha, which they did after the meeting.
Yeah.
And she did so incredibly well.
Yeah, for sure.
And her paper, it wasn't Dostoevsky class writing, but it was
college kid. Yeah,
it was fine, and
it wasn't a zero.
It was not zero.
There's no such thing. That's why I try to tell people that, liberal friends that would say, "Well, she didn't do a good paper." I said, "Fair enough. I don't know. I didn't read it, but you don't get a zero. There's no such thing. If you turn it in and turn it on time, there's not a professor on the planet that normally would give you a zero. They give you, a failing grade, maybe
right.
50% or 60. They redline it all up and say you spelled this wrong, and then they don't write zero up there.
Yeah, well, clearly that paper was reflective of all the other papers she'd written, and she's an A student,
right.
So she got A's on all of her papers.
Right, but I'm just saying that even if you took the side that it wasn't a quality paper,
right,
you don't get a zero. That never happens.
No, and that's typical of somebody in the homosexual LGBTQ movement.
Right, because it's my way or the highway. You're wrong if you don't agree with me. That's the left's mantra.
Yeah, and they're angry. They're angry. They're angry people.
Yeah, from the KKK to the racist judiciary decisions for 50 to 100 years. All of that was Democrat.
Yes.
Fighting the right for women to vote. Filibustering the Civil Rights Act. I mean, people say, well, those are Southern Democrats. No, those are Democrats. All of those are Democrats. And today, it's actually worse. Now they've discarded women because they got what they wanted out of women. So now it's these small victim class of men pretending to be women. That's their new victim class. And they've shucked women to the side in favor of that. But so going back to how you started in politics, so I thought I heard you were involved on a volunteer basis on an amazing Senate campaign back in 2012. I thought that's maybe what really got you started.
I'm trying to remember. Was that Rob Standridge? Yeah, I'm thinking that was.
You talked about Cambridge. What made me think about that is you mentioned Cambridge. Well, you live in a place called Cambridge, and you dominated. Not to get off in my campaign, but knocking doors for me. You got the whole neighborhood. There wasn't a sign for anybody but me in that entire neighborhood. You were high energy and you're a natural leader, and Oak Pack is just a good fit for you for sure.
Well, I appreciate it. I think I may have done some things for Reagan prior to you, and of course,
yeah, but that the two pales in comparison to the Standridge campaign. Like Reagan, Schmegan,
yeah,
right.
Well, two of you are very similar, of course.
Thank you. I was trying to get there. Finally, I got it out of you. Okay, very good, very good. Well, so talking about Crazy Norman, the University of Oklahoma. Shift gears because. Lisa, Senator Standridge would not be happy unless I got your thoughts on the insanity in Norman. I don't know if you saw what the governor did on the east side of town the other day. Maybe you didn't, but there's this
cleaning up.
Yeah, there's this huge encampment.
Yeah.
So of homeless people, people without jobs, unlike the 90% or 99% of people that go to work for a living every day.
Right.
So no jobs. They're camping in the field at this park over there where kids are supposed to be able to go. And the people that are pandering rent porta potties and put them out there, so I guess that they can pass environmentally. But they had dug tunnels out there. There were stabbings, machete attacks, whatever. Have you heard this, or is it not in the news? Right?
No, I have heard some about a stabbing and a little bit. I don't keep up with that kind of local news, but I just know generally it goes on. I see them on the street corners, and it upsets me because I see them walk. They're very healthy people.
Yeah, for the ones, so this, there's sometimes tough love is what's needed, and I'm not saying we all have empathy. We all have empathy. People will quote Christ and all of this, and I get that. We have empathy. We want to help people, but I'm telling you right now that if you're an able-bodied young person, especially a young man with no kids you're responsible for, you should be working. It's not healthy for you not to be working. For you to sit there in a tent and then go stand on a corner all day, that is not healthy. You will never. It's kind of like an addiction. When I practiced pharmacy for years, I learned for a fact that until somebody wanted to quit smoking or whatever it was, they would never quit. So until these people are forced to try to find their way back into society, it's never going to happen for them. And I feel for them. Why would you want somebody living in that filth from now on? Why would you want to push them just a little further so that they finally pick themselves up and get a job?
Well, God is very, very clear. He has a clear statement on on those who don't have jobs and who beg.
Yeah.
He said, if you will not work, you will not eat.
That is correct.
And that was so important on the mind of God that he put it in his eternal word. And that is how we should view the homeless. Sir, if you're not going to work and asking me for money is not work.
No,
that's a con job.
Correct. And we're all broken and fallen. None of us are perfect.
Yes.
But for the grace of God, go me, go thee. So I understand all of that, but I also understand that I want that person that's covered in filth, that's got a pit bull sitting beside him to bite the next kid that walks by. I hope one day the drugs won't make it in the camp. Something happens. The weather, something happens to the point where I just can't do this anymore. And not to the point where he takes his life, of course, but the point at which he says, I've fallen so badly, now I got to pull myself back up. That's what we want and we pray for. Not for them to go out and be able to get another $100 on the corner. That's not what we're praying for at all. We shouldn't be.
Well, it doesn't help when people give him the money.
That's correct. It doesn't. It does not.
If nobody gave money, they wouldn't be on the corner begging.
Right. But so... I hate to make light, but there's this. So I was asking some folks about the violence. So they had dug tunnels over in the Francis Cape Park. So I don't know what the tunnels are for. Maybe to keep warm. That's what somebody told me. To keep warm. I said, well, there's a lot of kids around there. It makes me nervous that you have tunnels dug in a park. I mean, so I don't know if they're human size. I don't even know what size they were, human size or what. I don't know. Maybe they were just to store things in. I don't know. But
by the way, it impresses me. Keep on with your story. But if they're digging tunnels, they would be great at construction work.
They would be, especially if they take the time to make those very
I said,
designed well.
You know, people will pay money for you to dig.
Yeah. Those storm shelters, you could be a great. Those things are money making things too. Every one of them is like $10,000-$15,000.
Yeah,
go to town.
Giving to society. Yeah. Society will give back to you.
So one of the deaths. So there's been several stabbings. There's been a dog. You know, they have vicious dogs now. I mean, this is a big problem. And the Highway Patrol was telling some folks about it when they decided to come down and clean it up. So we're more concerned about the dogs. We're got to bring guns, so we have to put down some dogs. Well, imagine the kids walking around. I mean, children. I mean, I don't care where you are in Norman. There's going to be children around.
Right.
They can't run away from a pit bull dog. They're going to be dead,
right,
or badly injured. So anyway, one woman here a few days ago, I guess, was attacked by a dog, and she shredded it with a machete.
Oh, really?
Which raises the question: why do you have a machete? I mean, that's the question. And a woman having a machete, not to be sexist,
right,
but that seems unusual.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the machete was just sitting there handy, like with a sign on it said for dog attacks. I don't know. But then another story out of there in the last few days was that a person was found dead. But the description about the death I found very unusual. It said, person found dead by overdose with stab wound.
Oh my.
So if you were a reporter and you had a tagline to put up, is that how you would tag it? Person found dead from overdose with stab wound.
Yeah, that's hard to put those two together.
I mean, person was stabbed first.
Right.
Homeless person stabbed, but may have died of overdose, maybe. I mean, how do you delineate the two? Was the stabbing not serious? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've just found that very odd.
That is odd. That needs some completion.
Yeah, right. So I'm sitting and wondering, well, is the stab wound is extra? That's ancillary to the whole death thing? I mean, it seems like it would be integral to the death thing.
You would think.
Right.
It's what we think of stab
wound. But the overdose gets much more empathy. I mean, poor person died. I mean, I do feel bad for them. You don't want anybody to die, especially of an overdose of drugs, but they died of overdose. I mean, in other words, I'm curious if that's a political statement or if it's a description of what really happened is what's in my mind. Is the description of what really happened is the person was stabbed and they happened to have a bunch of drugs in their system? Or was the person already dead and somebody went along? I mean, the article made it sound like they found a dead person and they just went ahead and stabbed him. That's what the article made it sound like. Anyway.
Well, the reason I have no sympathy is, number one, they trash the area.
They do,
and they want me to clean it up. And secondly, I grew up in a family. I'm a farm boy. My parents were both school teachers. My dad got his PhD at Indiana University, taught some at the university, and also we ran the farm. And we had a number of family farms, and that's hard work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I know what it's like to shovel manure and to dig, and so that's my background. And even developing what I do here for a living, I work my fanny off, and I know what it's like to work 30. I think my record was 36 hours straight with no sleep, constant work, to make ends meet. And so a guy like that's not going to have a lot of sympathy.
That's right.
For a guy who's obviously spry, he walks really well, swings his arms well, legs are working well, who wants me to give him money? Not no, but heck no.
Well, in the destruction and the safety, I think one thing that I don't understand, I understand empathy. I get it. Some people are just very soft-hearted. I'm not talking about bleeding heart liberals that are using it as a tool, but there are some people that, for whatever reason, maybe it's something in their past, are overly empathetic. I get that part, and I'm fine with that. But they seem to turn a blind eye to realize that many of these folks, not all of them, some of them are probably just down on their luck. And like My Man Godfrey, I don't know if you ever saw that old movie. Have you seen it? No?
I'm familiar with it.
It's the guy from The Thin Man, William Powell. It's a great old movie, My Man Godfrey. And it's about a homeless guy.
I've probably seen it.
It's a really great movie.
Yeah.
It's black and white, so sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, some may be like that, like My Man Godfrey, where they're down on their luck and hopefully one day they'll peel themselves back up. But many of those folks are serious drug addicts looking for super meth, like Spencer Pratt is talking about in Los Angeles, the guy running for mayor, looking for super meth and fentanyl. They're not looking to get out of where they're at. They're looking for the drugs or whatever addiction they have to keep them there. There's sex trafficking going on there. There's obviously very dangerous dogs that only a machete, I guess, can put down. So why does empathy blind you to the safety issue for your fellow man? I mean, that should come first. I would think safety for my fellow man would come before the empathy for some of that many of them just refuse to work.
Well, if they were my children, they would get no sympathy from me.
Yeah, I would have a hard time with that. Yeah, my foot would have his butt would have a permanent imprint of my shoe.
Yes.
Yeah.
If that was my brother,
right,
my close friend,
right,
I don't treat.
I'd find him work. Actually, I'd go out of my way to find him work.
Yeah, I wouldn't treat my brother, my friend, or my family that way. I wouldn't say, "Oh, you don't want to work? Well, here's some money." No, that's not treating people
you help
right.
them find a job. You
Yes.
say, come to the house, shower up, and go get you a job.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
Because I want you to have a good life.
And that's what the church should be doing. And I think they
Yes.
probably do to some degree. I think we have some great churches in Norman that probably do some of that. In Salvation Army, there's groups, but when you get some of these NGOs, some of these nonprofits, I think it's, I don't know this for a fact, but I almost smell money. Like I almost think this is turning into a profiteering thing. I'm not sure about that, but that's what Spencer Pratt, he's throwing his name out there again. Hopefully he wins. But anyway, he seems to be implying that it's a money thing out there, that people are banking on these homeless people. That's pretty sad.
Well, that's how a lot of things go politically.
Oh, yeah. I almost always look for the money.
I mean, the Wounded Warrior Project is an example. Those people are filthy rich.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I talked to Shane Jett. As you know, he's a Navy guy.
Yeah.
He says it's one of the biggest scams there is. But to me, the biggest scam, and this is what I complained to Shane about, is that the Wounded Warrior can even exist. If I were a United States congressman, I'd be embarrassed if I saw that commercial. Because what it tells you is that I, as a United States congressman, am not taking care of those I'm sending to war.
Right.
There should be no reason why anybody that puts on a uniform for the United States government and is damaged overseas in warfare doesn't have the best medical for the rest of his life and spare no expense. And I know we can afford it because we have so much money in America.
Yeah.
We fund countries that don't even like us.
Well, we spend money on just stupid
Yes.
stuff. Well, talking about veterans, I'm an attorney now, Bob, and so my very first case ever as an attorney is to argue in front of the state Supreme Court next week about property tax. And in my process of learning about property tax, we do give 100%. We waive property tax completely for disabled veterans and their spouses. I may have known that before, but it reminded me of that. So, I mean, the government should take care of our wounded veterans. And when I see one begging or whatever, it bothers me, or one that's claiming to be, I bet you not all of them are, but one that's claiming to be, it bothers me because I know we have tons of programs for them. I don't know if we lack, people that go. I know the county commissioners, at least in the past, had a veterans representative to help. So, but I don't think there's any excuse for us not helping them in some way.
No, they should be paid first, taken best care of more than our U.S. congressman.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Except for Josh Burkeen. Take care of
Except
Josh. No.
for Josh.
Well, Josh would be the first to give up everything he has for them, for sure.
Yeah, a good man. Kevin is a good guy out of Tulsa, but in general,
We are next senator, Kevin Hearn. You're talking about
Kevin Hearn.
Oh yeah, he'll be the next U.S. senator.
Yes,
no question.
he will be.
Yeah.
Ty England, by the way, who's our country western music star, who's performing for us, is also running for that seat, and he's made very clear, I'm not running against Kevin. I'm running for the U.S. Senate.
Oh, he's running for the statewide U.S. Senate seat. I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
He is. I think he has in mind some future runs.
Okay. All right.
But Kevin is unbeatable.
Yeah, at this stage, yeah. Maybe Ty got in there before he realized maybe Kevin was going to jump in.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
Well, Kevin was unbeatable before the endorsement, but when Donald Trump, who wins all 77 counties, endorses you, and you're already the leading candidate, that's a tough one tough to win that.
Oh
seat.
yeah. And Kevin Hart is very popular. So one thing I asked you about before, we talked about OPAC a little bit earlier. I asked you to see if you could think of your top 2 or 3 or 4 favorite, because you've had a ton of speakers over the years. The Standridges, of course, have spoke there, which I don't include us. I forgot to ask you that, but please leave us out. No, but in all seriousness, what is some really memorable, your favorite speakers or the favorite guests that you've had?
Well, there have been times I've wondered if the anointing of God is just so powerful in the room we're in that, I've had people, it's not unusual at every meeting somebody says, wow, I thought we'd had the best meeting ever, but I think this is the best meeting ever. So we get those comments. But we've had a number of memorable people, and I mentioned John Ashcroft, and I could talk about him. She Van Fleet is probably close to my heart.
Oh, okay. Now, who is that? I did not make that meeting.
Yeah, She Van Fleet was a little girl when Mao was executing his revolution.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay.
And she was of an age, she could have been a Red Guard. She was that age, so she saw all of that revolution taking place. As a matter of fact, she did wind up, as the Red Guard did, being sent to an agricultural camp where she had to do some actually very nasty things.
Okay.
As part of her education.
Oh.
In lieu of going to college. So she was helped out of China by a Christian missionary who managed to get her out a long time ago. So she came to America, married, was employed, had children, and she was stunned as she saw what was going on in her school. And so she made a meeting in, now I can't think of the name, but I think it made national news. This school board made national news because it's so woke. And she stood up and they said, well, you have, I can't remember if they cut her, I know they cut her time to 60 seconds, maybe they cut it to 30 seconds. She said, I had very little time. But I basically said, I grew up under Mao. I know what a cultural revolution looks like. Everything happening in this school is a cultural revolution, exactly what we did in Mao's time. Yes.
I'm sorry, where was the school district at? You remember?
I think it was in Virginia.
Oh, Virginia, okay. Wow.
I don't know if it's fair. If I mention the school district, I think it'd probably ring a bell. I just can't think of it. So she's written a book, Mao's America, and that was her first book, a fabulous book. Everybody should read Mao's America, but she just published a second book.
Okay.
Called Made in America.
Okay.
And it's about the Chinese Communist Party being made in America by Americans, by American presidents and congressmen. It's stunning. And in the book, she documents all of this. And she says Donald J. Trump is the only president who understands who China is.
Yeah, China. Yeah, he is. He is.
The only one. Yeah. So Reagan obviously saw the Russian threat.
Right.
But was oblivious to the China threat.
Well, Russia was such center stage at that time, during those years. So
I think Trump sees the globe. Of course, he was raised with a dad who was a member of the John Birch Society. So
I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so he has that intellectual side of him that comes from reading John Birch books. Yeah. And the research that goes into those. You mentioned my interest in politics. Now that I mentioned the John Birch Society, I knew Garmin Kimmel, who was the founder of Kimray.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So when I was the campus director of Campus Crusade for Christ at OU, it was suggested I see Garmin Kimmel. Well, Garmin and Bill Bright, the founder of Campus Crusade, were very close friends. And so I remember going to see Garmin Kimmel at his house. Very, he could have afforded any house in Oklahoma City. So a very modest home. And I'm sitting there in his home, and we're talking about one thing after another, and I'm trying to decide if he's a medical genius, a science genius, because he knows so much about everything. He was brilliant. And as I'm sitting there, he went to get something, and somebody came in, and I saw the guy walk through the door, and it's a guy who I'd seen on the front of Newsweek or Forbes, or a big banking guy. And so as Garmin was off somewhere, this guy was talking to me about Garmin, and he said, Garmin's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm sure he had a lot of money in his bank too.
Yeah, for sure.
But Garmin was, he loved two things, Campus Crusade for Christ, and he loved the John Birch Society. So Garmin would tell me, stories about things he knows from the society and suggest books to read. So I read a number of books, and that was probably my first foray, was through Garmin Kimmel of Kimray, founder of Kimray.
Okay.
Into political ideas. And then, of course, I read, early on in my Christian life, I read Rushdoony. He wrote a 3-volume set, Institutes of Biblical Law. I found those absolutely fascinating. And, the church has these little things called little devotional books, Upper Room we used to have, and Our Daily Bread, little series. And those always frustrated me because they were so shallow. But when I read Rushdoony's Institutes of Biblical Law, I thought, wow, this is what people should be reading.
Oh, okay. I've never read that. And
so Rushdoony, like Abraham Kuyper, knew one thing, that every square inch of the earth belongs to the Lord Jesus Christ and no one else.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that was big in Kuyper's life. It was big in John Calvin's life, and the Puritans, the Presbyterians. That's their concept. Jesus owns everything, everything, and so he permeates our businesses, our lives, our marriages, and he permeates our government. Our government should abide by his laws.
Oh, there's no question. Yeah, I don't. I understand the Caesar analogy, but it doesn't work. I mean, God insists that we have godly leaders, and that we're responsible for that. I started to share this a minute ago, but C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity is a book I used to give out to people when I first started getting the fire to be a leader and that type of thing. But I think life is, we're here, but just a flash of time, Bob.
It is a flash.
It's a flash of time.
Yes.
And, we always want a longer flash, but it's a flash of time. And so why are we here? I mean, it bothers me where people think they're not here for any reason. I mean, it's so sad because we all don't know the total reason. Well, if you just have faith. Well, you have faith, but if you have faith, then you probably read the Bible. Read the Bible. The Bible talks about doing a lot more than just having faith. People say you can't get to heaven on good works. Well, it doesn't mean you don't do good works. It doesn't mean you sit back in your chair and just watch TV the rest of your life and say, well, I'm going to heaven, because I think life's a test. I think we're here for a reason where God is looking at us saying, I don't think heaven's that crowded, I guess is what I'm saying, Bob. I really don't.
Your faith is visible through your works.
It is visible through your works.
If you have faith, there'll be a lot of works.
Absolutely, yeah. And people will know your faith through you, the way you speak, the way you deal with them. Yeah. And so, but I think for those simple Christian minds like mine out there, I think it's a test. I think it is literally that. You're studying for the ACT as you grow up and mature, and one day you're going to stand in front of Peter and you're going to say, if you get that far, he's probably going to say, well, how do you think you did?
Well, Jesus' last words to the church was disciple nations.
Yeah, disciple nations, right. What does that mean?
Yeah, so we tend to read our Bibles through our own little lens.
Right.
But from the get-go, God spoke both to individuals, but he spoke to them also as members of a greater nation. So in Deuteronomy 10 and Deuteronomy 30, that's where God says, now circumcision is not just physical. What God wants is the circumcision of your heart. So that's individual. That's right. Deuteronomy 10 and 30. But the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, begins with the sins of the nation, Chapter 2 is the great conquest of the nation
Right, yeah.
against Sihon's. Chapter 3, the great conquest against Og, which stood as testimonies when they took the promised land. Rahab, the harlot, said, "Here's how we all know that your God is the true God. It's because of what you did to Sihon and Og." That was trumpeted throughout the region, that Israel's God is the true God. But toward the end of Deuteronomy, and frankly, it's all through the scriptures, all through the Old Testament especially, God is interested. He loves nations.
Okay.
And in Deuteronomy, when he talks, he's talking to the nation of Israel, the people of God. They're also called the church. When you read the Hebrew, it often uses the word kahal, which is translated, the early Hebrew scholars about 100 years before Jesus translated all the Hebrew scriptures into Greek. And so when they came to that Hebrew word kahal, the assembly of God's people, they use the Greek word ecclesia, sometimes called ecclesia. So when you read the Septuagint Old Testament, you see that word ecclesia throughout the whole Old Testament. That's 70% of the time. The rest, if it's not ecclesia, it's synagogue. So the church is clearly referenced, and it's spoken to as a group. And so God spends his time discipling a nation. He's discipling Israel, a nation. And when the Lord Jesus came, his last words were to the church, "You disciple nations." Because Micah and Isaiah had both in Isaiah chapter 2, verses 2 and 3, said that there will be a time, this is casting a vision here, there will be a time when all the nations, all the people will come to the feet of Jesus, and they will say, let us study the word of God that we might be obedient to God. So this is the vision of all the nations in the world, not the nations as one conglomerate, but each individual nation. Right. So God loves nations, not bringing them together as the Tower of Babel, but not erasing boundaries, maintaining your national boundaries. All the nations coming to Christ. Micah is a carbon copy. Micah chapter 4 and the first two verses, or maybe it's 2 and 3. I think it's the first two verses of Micah 4. Identical carbon copies, like they had copy machines. But of course, Isaiah and Micah lived the same time together. And he repeats that. So that's the vision. But we all know the oldest scripture is Genesis chapter 12. God told Abraham, through you, I will bless all the nations of the world, all the families of the world. So it's always been about the nations.
Yeah. It's about the church. It's about the nations. It's about leaders.
So our pulpit has made it about onesie-twosie individuals. They don't preach about nations. The Bible from Abraham on preached about nations. Wow. God's sermons are fundamentally, his sermons are to nations. He's discipling nations. So we have to learn how to live together under his law and know how to treat each other and honor him in our society. But as this guy who left Cambridge for, I think he's in Georgia, USA, I just can't remember the name of the university, but he said, the universities worldwide have lost truth.
Oh, there's no question. There's no question.
And until that is recovered, we have no hope. That's why in my newsletters, hopefully all your listeners get the Oak Pack Foundation newsletter.
Well, if they don't, where to sign up for it? How do you sign up for it?
Well, you go to Oak Pack Foundation, OCPAC Foundation.org, okay, and you can sign up for the newsletter.
Okay.
But I've been hammering the gubernatorial candidates, and I'm fairly close to those four I mentioned, Chip and Charles and Mike, and so I've been hammering them a little bit in the newsletter. 100%, I've been hammering them, saying we need a governor somewhere in some state of the union who will take seriously his job to appoint regents
Oh, yeah.
who understand what it means to have a university. And it starts with the idea that there's truth, because if there is no truth, there is no purpose for a university. You have nothing to teach. There's no purpose for a grade system. You have nothing to evaluate performance because there is no truth.
Well, it's our universities, such as our own here, has turned into nothing but a factory for indoctrination. And I told you off the air about my daughter getting the
Yes.
email about abortion training. To her university email, they
Yes.
used Dell Hall to put on this show, and literally the email said they were going to guide you how to make sure you get around the law, because it's, abortion's not legal in Oklahoma.
Well,
so they're going to show you how to get the pill and how to perform the abortion yourself. And
I'm going to address that with these guys. I didn't know that until just then. That is shocking.
Isn't that shocking? It's
shocking.
It's unbelievable. So, but I'll tell you from my personal experience when I served, the only thing these schools today understand, and the only thing they understand, I don't care what they say, is money.
Yes.
It's disgusting. I'll never forget Representative Tom Gann, friend of mine, great guy in the House. He was chairing, he told me about a meeting he was going to have on the House side with the University of Oklahoma medical people. And I said, I'd like to go. And so I showed up. I was the only person from the Senate there, naturally. So I was there, and there was about half a dozen House members, and then a lobbyist for OU and a couple of medical, highly trained, highly educated medical folks, two of them. And I'm sitting there listening, and Bob, I couldn't hardly listen. They were talking about, they were bragging almost about where they only did waist-up surgeries on girls. This transgender mutilation, medieval, hacking off body parts surgery. But they were almost like taking pride in the fact they only did waist up. And finally, I just could not keep my mouth shut. And I said, let me understand this correctly. They can't get a tattoo in Oklahoma, even with their parents' permission, but you can lop off their breasts. And even Gann was like, Rob, but I can't help myself. What? I'm a medical professional. I don't understand. It's supposed to be first do no harm. You start chopping off working body parts, how is that not harm? And I'll never, till the day I die, will never understand the medical side of that. Now, if you go out,
that's money.
It's
money.
It's money. So the only way we got them to stop was not bills, was not anything else, is we took $500,000 from them. That's it. It took us $500,000, absolutely pocket change in the world of governments. Our budget this year, our ballooning out of control state budget, was almost $13 billion. I'm talking about $500,000. You can't even see that number in $12.5 billion.
Right.
That's all it took to get these morons, supposed medical professionals, from stopping to lop body parts off of young, beautiful girls that were created in God's image to be the most beautiful creatures on the planet, and you chop them up.
Right.
How can I'm sorry, I got on my soapbox, but I just don't get it. I don't understand.
Well, these are evil men.
They are evil.
You have to be evil to do that. And we talk about empty suits in politics.
Right.
Empty suits. These are medical people in empty medical robes. They're not human beings. They aren't acting as human beings and creating God's image. They're acting as animals who have no sense of teleology, protology. They have no sense of the transcendent purpose of their lives. They are animals who seek only their immediate gratification, which comes through more dollar bills in their bank account.
So, and here's the even sadder. Be disappointed in humans all the time because we're fallen, broken. None of us are perfect. But so the discussion went the area of suicide, and they made this big, as they always do. They're going to commit suicide. It's the dumbest thing, because more commit suicide, especially the girls. That more of them commit suicide ever after transition surgery than before.
Absolutely.
It's like 80%. It's some crazy number.
Yep.
And they went down that. And so I thought about that after we cut off the money. I thought, so you believed in that, but as soon as you lost $500,000, you stopped doing it. So it wasn't about you caring.
Exactly.
That was your rationale for keeping the money flowing. And it's only $500,000. I mean, what is a doctor, because it's a clinic, $500,000 doesn't mean anything to them.
Right.
So, what is up with humanity? I just don't get it. But anyway, sorry. Tangent.
Well, I reviewed this. My most recent meeting was with Charles McCall, and I mentioned this, and he mentioned the money.
Yeah.
But my point is, yeah, that's the shallow way to deal with it. You have to find guys who know what it means to be a university, to be a regent. They must understand that if we don't believe in absolute truth, that it exists somewhere out there, we have no reason to have a university.
Yeah.
And we don't have regents that think at that level, and that's a problem. I think those men are out there. We need to find them, and I think it's the governor's job. We need a governor. I started to say, somewhere in the 50 states, a guy like Ron DeSantis needs to find a governor who says, I've got one job. Western civilization has crumbled.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Universities from each side of the Atlantic have crumbled. They no longer believe in truth. It is my job as governor to restore Western civilization through restoring the concept of truth in the universities in the state of Florida or the state of Tennessee or whatever state that governor. But if one governor would do that.
I don't want to disagree with you, but I think I have a more sure ticket for you, and that is the state Senate. And the state Senate, the pro tem of the Senate, controls the state without question these days. It's an iron fist. He controls the governor. He controls everything. During my last few years there, I authored a bill talking about these transgender, mutilating, medieval, torturous, bizarre, barbaric surgeries. I authored a bill to give a cause of action for these later in life because, there's liability there without question. These doctors are, but my cause of action never made it to the finish line. You know why? Well, some conservative senator, who's now the floor leader, Senator Daniels, took it. Her idea was take all these people like Senator Jett, myself, and others that have been working on this for a couple of years, take it and put it in her bill, which I co-authored. I like parts of it, but conveniently left out the real meat, and that is giving these people the opportunity to sue a couple times. Mm-hmm. You sue some of these moron doctors that would do that. You sue them a couple of times, they'll stop. If Dr. Smith over here that's willing to cut off every part of a kid's body sees Dr. Jones have to fork over $10 million, he'll stop chopping off body parts.
Yes, he will.
Yeah, that's the only way you can do it. It's the only way you do it. But they took that piece out. And she told me, oh, no, I left it in. No, it's not in there. And it's easy. It's an easy part to put in. But they answer to the lobbyists and special interests that didn't want that in there.
Yes, she is less than impressive to say, and that's an overstatement.
Well, one of my regrets, and I hate to, this is not personal, was I appointed her as assistant whip twice while we were there. The first time, I don't necessarily regret, but the second time, the people that she's now in bed with tried to get me to fire her, but because I'm a very loyal person, unlike who you mentioned, DeSanctimonious, I just didn't do it. I should have done it. I should have, because I do fire people, obviously, but I didn't do it. That's a regret I have. I don't have that many. It's not that big a regret. Life goes on. But I wish I would have fired her. I think that was it turned out not to be a very good.
She is a train wreck.
She's not a very good person. She kills all the conservative people's bills. I saw Senator Coleman. Saw a video come on social media where he's yelling and screaming about the Freedom Caucus. You know what he had the nerve to say? And I want to get to that, but he said, well, the pro tem let them speak. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Did he let them eat cake too? I mean, what the hell? They're there just so they had the honor and privilege to be able to speak? Thank you, Massa. Thank you, Massa.
Let them use the restroom?
I don't know. He didn't say they could use the bathroom, just speak. So probably he pissed their pants while they were speaking because he wouldn't let them piss. But sorry. But okay, so I want to touch back on Israel before I want to talk about the Senate and some races going around the state. But you mentioned Israel. I've got a guest coming on this week who's an Iranian hero, so to speak. She's just a superstar. She's in with the movement, trying to bring freedom to Iran. So you mentioned Trump. who may go down as the best president in history. He may. I mean, 50 years from now, he may.
He's fabulous.
Unbelievable energy. And I kind of call him the Seinfeld of presidents. Did you ever watch Seinfeld?
A little bit.
So the reason I say it is not because of he is funny, but the reason I say it is he can seem like he can do 50 things at one time. And what was amazing about the Seinfeld shows, the reason Lisa and I liked them so much, is you watch one episode and it goes down like 10 paths. So
Okay.
you're watching, like, that's what was so brilliant about Larry David and Seinfeld is they created these shows that, man, they'd be going and somehow they met at the end. And that's kind of how I see him. Venezuela, Cuba, Greenland, all these, Russia, Ukraine. And for him, it doesn't seem like anything. Most presidents are stressing about one thing their whole term.
Right.
Hell, he's doing it's like he's juggling 50 things.
Right.
But it doesn't seem to even make him break a sweat.
Yeah.
I think it's unbelievable. But Israel, what do you think about, not that we touch on very many international things, but what was your thoughts about Iran and how it's going, and what do you think will happen and what do you hope will happen?
Well, I'm not as familiar. You mentioned Israel. I will comment on Israel, and only because Christians have, for the past 100 or 200 years since the advent of what's called dispensationalism, have confused the political state of Israel, which he didn't start 200 years ago, but they have confused that with the people of God in the Old Testament. And I would challenge anyone to begin reading their Bibles from start to finish, and at that point where they leave Malachi and go to Matthew, I would challenge anyone to find a point at which they think they're reading about a new religion, or they're reading about a new God. And I've on purpose done that exercise to think, where would a guy get the idea that I've left what Moses was talking about, I've left what Isaiah was talking about, and I'm now thinking of something different. There's just never that point. As a matter of fact, it constantly is pointing back to Moses, Isaiah, and the scriptures. And when those letters were written, those were the scriptures. Those letters were not scriptures. They were pointing to Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, all the way through Malachi. So the people of God are the people of God. That is the church. And the political Israel, God formally divorced Israel, I would say, in AD 70, when Jerusalem was pummeled, destroyed. God threatened all through the Old Testament to divorce Israel, but he's talking about the political Israel, not his people.
Right.
And so I'm pro-Israel. I think Israel should be one of our major political partners. But I don't see Israel. You can't say that a nation represents God's people when that nation formally rejects Jesus as the Messiah. That's not possible. That's called Antichrist.
Right.
And that's the problem I have with the term Judeo-Christian. Judaism, I picked up my grandson from school one day.
I think it's because of the Old Testament values, I think.
It is.
Right.
My grandson said, hey, today my teacher told me that Christianity was 2,000 years old and Judaism was 6,000 years old. I said, well, actually, he has that reversed. Christianity is 6,000 years old. We know that it was Jesus in Genesis 1:1 who was creating the earth. We know that, if nothing else, from the book of John, who said, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And he is the creator. So John teaches us that, if nothing else teaches us that. And Jesus, when he walked his disciples on the road to Emmaus, was talking about the Old Testament. He said, Moses wrote about me. So we know that Moses was a Christian writer. The book of Hebrews says exactly this. Talking about Moses, it says Moses considered the reproach of Christ. It uses those exact words. Moses considered the reproach of Christ as greater wealth than all the wealth of Egypt. So we know from that Moses was a more devout Christian than most of the people we sat next to in the pew on Sunday morning, who don't necessarily consider the reproach of Christ as greater wealth than all the wealth of the world. Wow. Moses did. And it uses the word Christ. When Paul talked to Timothy, he told Timothy, hey, you learned about the Lord Jesus Christ. You read this in the book of Timothy from reading the scriptures. Well, Timothy didn't have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Right.
Or the epistles.
That's correct, right.
He had Genesis through Malachi.
Right.
And Moses, looking him eyeball to eyeball, said, well, in the letter said, you learned about Jesus in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
So we have failed, and this has only been an illness in the church of the last couple of hundred years since through dispensationalism. We have failed to recognize that there is one Bible, there's one Savior, there's one God, there's one people of God.
Yeah.
There's never been two. There's never been two plans of God. He has one plan and one plan only. And so it's okay to look at Israel as a great political ally, and I think they are. But you can't say, I want to send money to Israel because the Bible says if I bless that political state, he's going to bless me. No, the Bible does not say that. The Bible says that those who bless the people of God, that's the descendants of Abraham. And Paul made it very clear that not all the physical descendants of Abraham are actual descendants. It's only the spiritual descendants. He makes that clear in Romans 4 and on through Romans and in the book of Galatians. Makes that very clear that if you're not a descendant of Abraham, you're not a Christian.
Well, I noticed that a lot of Jews today, seem like they've drifted way left. And I don't mean, not just big government and all of that, but left away from the godly principles in the Old Testament, in their own quote Bible. That's another one of those things that I have a hard time comprehending. It's kind of like Catholic, churches. You go there, they're supposed to be the most pro-life people on the planet, but they vote, it seems like, in a large number for people that are pro-abortion. They vote a lot of Democrat, and so the whole thing is very disconnected. Maybe it's because our country is so huge, so many millions of people. But so the Iranian conflict, we can move on. But so back to America.
Okay.
America. So like I said, governor, absolutely hold his feet to the fire, her feet to the fire, whoever it is. We don't have any female candidates, but yes, I agree with you. But until you have a conservative legislature, and the tail that wags that dog is the Senate, along with its leadership. Until you have that, I think it's gonna, I think senators or representatives still can do some things. I mean, you can do things despite leadership. In fact, I was so proud of the Senate, the conservatives in the Senate here recently, when they actually brought up no-brainer bills, and then got shot down. Because they're only allowed to speak, they're not allowed to do bills. But
right.
So, do you have any thoughts about OPAC's involvement? Or are they in Freedom? I know Shane Jett's Freedom Caucus, like I am. Sadly for me, we set it up as I was leaving, so
right.
I'm very jealous. But thoughts about the Freedom Caucus? Thoughts about mainly the Senate? I just don't follow the House very much, and the chances of getting a conservative Senate?
Well, again, speaking in theological or spiritual terms, the election of Dusty Devers, that was humanly impossible.
Yeah.
He had the governor, he had all kinds of people running against him. The governor was for somebody else. Everybody was weighing in on somebody else. Dusty is the godly, and I don't know those other candidates, but I do know Dusty. He's an unusually godly, Bible-based guy.
Yeah, he's good.
And
he does have a couple of opponents. I sure hope and pray that he prevails.
But his win in that race was divine, supernatural.
And nobody predicted. In fact, they thought the Democrat would beat him once he won the primary.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if some of our Republicans would have been for the Democrat.
They did. In fact, his predecessor endorsed the Democrat, if I remember correctly.
So Dusty won, and in my book I asked why did he win? Because God put him there. And then I think it was that year, maybe the next year, Shane Jett. I think Dusty opened floodgates. There were other miraculous events. One was McCourtney getting defeated.
Right, yeah.
That was amazing, and Chip Keating had a lot to do with that,
Yes.
as well as
I appreciate Chip's work there for sure.
yeah, as well as a groundswell.
Well, we had another moderate senator, Jessica Garvin, that was beat by Kendall Sacchieri, who's a superstar.
She is a superstar.
So we have. I always like to mention this when I have a podcast with somebody local politics, because there's a group of those conservative senators that came in that I call the Fab Five. You should have them. I think I might have mentioned this. You should have them there, but they are amazing. All five of them. They're good friends. They're extremely conservative. I think most, if not all of them, got 100% on their conservative index, and that's, Kendall Sacchieri, Lisa Standridge, who's the biggest superstar of them all. But anyway, Brian Guthrie, Randy Grellner, and Julie McIntosh. And I think you had Brian and Julie on last time you had. And they're phenomenal.
We've had Grellner. Yeah. Grellner's fabulous.
I talked to some candidates running for Senate this cycle. In fact, I remember this one distinct conversation with one of them. And it was a female, and she was asking me what I thought about who else could run for Senate leadership. She was, pretty much all these people, if they win, would never vote for the current leadership. It's not just because, Lonnie's going to think I'm throwing stones. It's not just him.
Lonnie should have stones thrown at him.
But I mean, it's everybody he's appointed. They're thugs. They kill these people. They enjoy persecuting and punishing conservative people, and good Christian people. I'll never understand that. It's what Treat did. I'll never, for the life of me, ever understand that. But anyway,
they'll pay a price.
I think so. I think a lot of things these people do. Peter's going to wonder, if the test was passed, and I'm going to say no. I'm going to give Peter a hint. No, it wasn't. Close the gate. Anyway, no, that's not for me to say. But anyway, I just very disappointed in these humans. But he was asking me about this. He said, well, what about this person or that person? Well, what if David Bullard didn't run? I go, those are good questions. I said, you know what? You could, and she mentioned Kendall's name, and I think she mentioned Lisa's name and Guthrie's name. And so I said, you know what? I could put all five of those names in a hat, those Fab Five that I just mentioned. And I could pull a name out of there, and any one of those five, and there may be others too. I don't want to throw anybody else under the bus. Those five are such amazing, great individuals. If I were serving, I would be tickled beyond belief if any one of the five became pro tem. They're all good Christian people. They're all fair and honest. The things that you would want in a leader in the real world.
Right.
And so and so I'm hoping that. So you have that. And then the Freedom Caucus, which, by the way, is just another caucus. Guess how many caucuses are in the Senate?
I have no idea.
Oh, there's probably 20.
Okay.
There's a rural caucus. The rural caucus actually has a chair at the leadership table. And these leaders are talking about the Freedom Caucus as it's not allowed to have other caucuses. There's a diabetes caucus, there's a female caucus, a black caucus, a Irish caucus, there's an aviation caucus.
Wow.
Yeah, well, and I bet the U.S. House and Senate have probably 1,000 if we have 20 or 30. And it's each one of them have their own areas that they focus on. The Freedom Caucus is about freedom. Freedom Caucus is about focusing on legislation that reduce the size of government, reduce taxes, go against bad social policy or promote good social policy. It's a very simple concept. And because these are conservative, good Christian people, because some of these people are not good people, they seem to get enjoyment out of persecuting these folks.
Well, they reveal the evil within their hearts. And first of all, let me say, Molly Boren, a Democrat from Norman.
Mary Boren.
Or Mary Boren. I'm sorry, I'm confusing her with Molly Boren.
Oh, yeah. Okay, no, Mary Boren.
The senator's one. Yeah, so Mary Boren made the statement as a Democrat. She said, frankly, if the Freedom Caucus, she was talking about the Freedom Caucus, were in charge of the Senate, probably it would be a lot more fair about how the bills would be heard.
Oh, without question.
Yeah, without question.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is when I was chair, I chaired multiple committees my first 6-8 years until Treat really started this iron fist garbage. So, and he started it with, and I've said this on these podcasts several times, of punishing the hell out of Nathan Dahm, one of the best men I've ever met in my entire life.
Yes.
And to enjoy punishing somebody like that, that's got to leave a dark scar on your heart. It really does. I mean, I can defend myself, but I think I'm a very good person, but it sounds self-serving to say, well, he punished me or whatever. And he did. He enjoyed that too. But when you look at Nathan Dahm, I mean, he's a pretty pure guy. Great guy. Yeah, he's not perfect. He would ask me advice on stuff, and I'd say no, and he'd do it anyway. But that's okay. He's a great guy, good man, good intentions, and Treat just enjoyed punishing. So that's how it is now. But my first 6-8 years, I chaired multiple committees. I chaired a committee when I first came in. I vice chaired one. I was fair. I think that's, if you're a leader of the Senate and you appoint somebody to a chair and they're not fair, you should fire them immediately. Because that's your power. You should say no. And several of these guys like Pugh and Rosina, these guys are not fair. They hear stupid bills, and Bill Coleman said, we let them speak. Well, it's like 12 or 13 freshmen came in. You took the 5 or 6 that voted for Lonnie, and you give them their stupid request bills. I mean, some of these bills are just so asinine and stupid. Like they're going to go back to their district and earn brownie points for passing a bill that says nurses can have to work 2 more hours a week or whatever their stupid request bills are. Lobbyists, it's fine to run those, but they're essentially meaningless to voters. These other freshmen would be much better off teaming with the Freedom Caucus and showing the people that they're fighting for them than pass. They think that their life in the Senate's about passing lobbyist request bills. I've never quite understood that either.
No, that's offensive.
Yeah, I mean, are you calling Senator Sanders and say, well, did you get that optometrist bill through, or the OSMA bill, or the roofers bill, or whatever? No, you're not.
Yeah, I got that from Cowboy Stevens. Is another guy I was so glad got beat here recently.
Yeah, Cowboy.
I remember Cowboy.
On a personal level, listen, here's what I like to make the distinction at the Capitol. There's bad people there. There's good people there. Most of the people are good people, actually. It sounds like we're talking here like most of these are bad. No. The bad seem to control things.
Right.
But Blake Stevens not a bad person. He's just not a good senator.
No, he's a fun guy to be around.
He's a nice guy.
He had that mechanical horse in his office.
Right. Nice guy, but not a senator.
No. And I remember he was walking in the Capitol with Governor Stitt, and I called him that morning. And he said, well, I know why you're calling. And it was about Shane Jett's bill to take money away from the Superintendent League that they could use to train board members on how to be good puppy dogs in superintendent board meetings, And I said, Bob, I can't vote yes for that. And he said, because I got to vote with my district. Well, I couldn't harass him because he was walking in with Kevin, with the governor, and I didn't want to embarrass him. But I've wanted to ask him since. I said, now, Cowboy, or Blake, could you tell me about one of those soccer moms that you represent in your district that just absolutely wanted to make sure that the superintendents got their money so that they could train board members on how to be good board members and obey the superintendents? Yeah, well, probably wouldn't have been one soccer mom or one anybody else. And it was a little offensive that he would think I didn't know when he said my district. I didn't know he was talking about, I'm voting with my superintendent. My superintendent is telling me how to vote.
Well, maybe a lot of times, not to overly pick on one guy, a lot of times it's not even that. A lot of times it's just a lobbyist for the superintendent, because the superintendents are busy, the ones in your district. I mean, I had a good relationship with mine, so he would text me and call my big one, at Norman. I had a great relationship with him. We did not agree on policy, but I always think open door, but I never got a text from him thinking that I'm going to go against my principles because one gentleman says to go the other way. But usually there's not that much interaction. Usually it's COSA or one of these groups, lobbying groups. They're the ones that's telling Blake and other people, you got to vote on this. And the lobbyists, they probably went out to dinner with the lobbyists. Yeah. People that shouldn't be in the Senate.
But it's really not his quote unquote district.
No, it's not. It's not. Even if it was a superintendent, it's not. That's one person.
And you're right. It was probably COSA, but
yeah,
it was anybody but your district.
Correct. That's correct. Right.
People who voted you into office. That's not who you're listening to.
Yeah, that's one thing I have. I do like the pledge that these candidates are making about the PAC money and all of that. I do like it. A part of me likes that. But if you're a good senator, like if you're there and you're convicted and you're going to vote like a Standridge or a Jett or whoever they are, or Sacchieri or whoever, if you're going to vote your convictions and your principles, it doesn't matter how much money people give you by whatever source. The last person that's qualified to be a senator is somebody that money would sway their vote. They should be able to take $1 million in their campaign account and still vote however they want.
That would eliminate a lot of their current senators.
And it doesn't even take what the sad testimony about politics is that I've seen from this. And I don't want to go through and trash a bunch of senators that I don't think are good senators, because some of them are really nice people. They're just not Republican, or they're not good senators. And then you have a handful of bad people. But one thing I noticed about them is because they don't have much convictions, they don't have any strength or courage or backbone or anything, because they're there just to be a senator. It'll just take a dinner, Bob. I could just take you out and buy you a glass of Chivas Regal and a little steak, and boom, you're going to vote for my stuff because you don't care. You're not there convicted. You're not there because your child was born and it changed it changed your outlook on the world completely to the point that you got to get involved. That's the people we need. We need people with some fire in their belly that really want to make a change, even if I don't agree with everything they want to do. And so,
well, when you live in a society ruled by the university system who has discovered there is no truth, they discovered that years ago, you're going to have a society that there's no truth.
Just vacuum. It's vacuous.
Yeah.
Not much there. Yeah.
And you're going to have guys that do things that we think are awful, and it's like, so what? I'm thinking of a story now of a church family whose daughter is not behaving quite right. It doesn't bother them.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And I'm just stunned.
It's work to keep your children. It's a parent's job is not easy.
I know children can go astray.
That's correct.
But you don't say, well, that's what we do in this culture.
Right.
Yes, it's what we do in this culture, but it's not what you do in God's culture.
It's love with truth, or truth and love. And so you got to do that with your children. So Freedom Caucus, Shane's part of the Freedom Caucus. So maybe when you get your meetings back up when you guys fire back up, you might have a Freedom Caucus. You ought to have a Freedom Caucus fundraiser. We need to raise some money. Maybe
we do, and OPAC needs to raise money.
Yeah, maybe you could have a joint fundraiser with the Freedom Caucus, and all of them show up, and you would get a lot of people come because there's quite a few members.
Dr. James Lindsay is our international superstar, preaching against wokeism.
Yeah, for
PhD in mathematics, brilliant guy. Has made the trek he's like Jürgen Habermas, who regrettably just died, was a world-renowned atheist, philosopher, and Hegelian and Marxist, and then hated the church, and then he said, okay, I don't hate him anymore. And then it was like, well, not only do I not hate him anymore, but actually Christianity is the center of civilization. Without Christianity, civilization will die. So he came that far. I don't know if he ever came to Jesus.
Yeah.
But James Lindsay has made that kind of trek from atheism to now he's a little bit, he's very open to the Bible. So he's our first speaker.
Oh, for when it starts back up?
September, I think it's 15.
Oh, okay.
Third Wednesday in September.
Yeah, I've heard him. I think I've heard him speak once before. He's very good. Yeah.
He speaks at big international events. He was a speaker at TPUSA, their national meeting.
Yeah, I met him. He's written several books. I've got a couple of his books, I think.
Yeah, and so he's our first speaker, but we could easily see him in the Freedom Caucus with that. I would love to bring DeSantis into the state, who, DeSantis was a part of the start of the Freedom Caucus, and he said he'd come raise some money. So, I think if you're going to raise money for the Freedom Caucus, you got to raise some money for the OPAC Foundation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that sounds great. I'd say instead of 1,000 to one, run 500 to each, or 5,000 to each. That's fine too.
5,000 each is much better.
So, I still call him DeSanctimonious. I do think he's an amazing governor, but loyalty is such a big thing to me. I think he'll never be president because of that. But it bothers me also that political memory is so short. Like, I remember everything. Maybe that's a curse, but I remember sitting in my office in December of 2023 and getting a call from the Trump campaign asking me to get endorsements in the Senate. And I said, sure, absolutely love to do that. And so I started calling people. Nobody would call me back. Nobody would text me back.
Really?
I ended up getting like 5 or 6. It's pretty sad. And, but DeSanctimonious, you had Lonnie Paxton out there, who now is the pro tem of the Senate, leading the charge for him and Stitt, leading the charge for DeSantis. The minute that Trump was down, just a little, it's like they stuck the knife in him and they twisted it. They kicked him in the nuts and shoved him to the side of the road the second they thought they had an opening. It's disgusting when you think about it.
Well, I don't see how people like Lonnie have made it as far as he has. It's a miracle to me. The guy is, you're talking about a guy. So Shane Jett, who has authored, lots of bills, thousands of bills, you don't pay attention to any of them. They just go,
Well, you let him speak, though.
Maybe you let him speak. But
and eat cake. I got to verify that because, let them eat cake.
And eat cake.
Maybe
probably
they let him eat cake.
Use the bathroom. But
yeah, use the bathroom. Yeah, sure.
But you
it
just
should say the bathroom, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but in the Senate, the back of the Senate, I know you've been there. I don't know if you remember this, but if you go in the lounge, it says bathroom, it says senators only.
Senators only,
But
yes.
they should put a sign on there, no Freedom Caucus.
They should.
They should.
That would
really.
be
If they
cute.
really want to be complete, because they let them speak, what the hell more would they want?
So Shane is what do you do with Shane? Well, you ignore his bills. I mean, you just don't say yes, no. You just never hear them.
That's correct.
So Shane
That's
comes
their
up,
directive, by the way.
Shane
clearly.
comes up with this bill that says, hey, I think we should pay attention to the no drunks on the Senate floor.
Right, yeah.
Well, you just ignore it. No, not Lonnie Paxton. He's going to make statewide news out of that and say what, and make a big fuss. And I'm thinking, if you're an alcoholic and you don't want anybody to know it, I mean, why would you? I don't know that Lonnie's an alcoholic, but when he starts fussing about that and only that, none of the other bills
So I think what bugs me most is not that little squirmish. What bugs me most about that, the whole atmosphere of the Senate for the last 6 years, including these last 2, is it's an atmosphere that, all these people have 100,000 people in their districts. Every single one of them is the same, including Lonnie. They all have, but yet the directive is for these 10 people or 15, the number's growing, but for these 10 or 15 people or 20, treat them like lepers. Don't hear any of their bills and tell them it's their fault. Make sure you go in front of the press and everything and say, well, these are some of the most successful people in Oklahoma. You have 2 amazing physicians. You have stellar business people like Lisa and others that have accomplished great things. You have a former county assessor. You have, Shane Jett's been on banking things and, worked in, he's been in the Navy. These are accomplished people that are good at creating relationships, but yet you get in front of a camera and say it's their fault because they can't handle creating relationships. But yet you have these other, I don't want to name the other freshmen because I don't know as if they're all, but the ones that voted for him, they somehow they get their stupid little bills heard to no end. And not that the Senate should be about that, but that's part of representing your people. I mean, he obviously gave a directive: treat them like lepers. Maybe they'll go away. Maybe they'll die. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll die. We'll let them speak, but maybe we'll get lucky and maybe a semi truck will run them all over on the way out, so we won't even have to see them anymore. That's how they treat them, and it's pretty sad testimony to a leader that's that poor of a leader that he can't even treat all of his employees, if you want to call them that. That's how they treat them. Saying you shouldn't. You're really elected to be the cheerleader, not the Führer.
Well, the thing that defines that group is Christ and the freedom that Christ brings. And
the
justice that Christ brings, the fairness that the Lord Jesus Christ brings. It's a fairness, justice. They're showing that they despise Christ, and they want their selfish little world to reign. They don't want Jesus to reign.
it's like I think a good analogy is it's the little dork in grade school, the guy that could, when he played kickball, he'd try to kick it and fall on his butt like Charlie Brown. So he's a little dork running around the playground. Nobody likes him. Nobody plays with him. He somehow gets out and cons people getting into office claiming he's a Republican, and he gets a thimble full of power, and he's going to get even because he was such a dork and a nerd that he's going to get even with good people and people that accomplish things on their own merits.
No, it's much like that. Yeah.
These people that he's actually treating this way are actually the most accomplished people, educated, accomplished people with their own medical practices. I mean, these aren't just insurance salesmen. These aren't people that just con people and buying new insurance policies.
Right.
These are accomplished people. And it's nothing against insurance salesmen. That's what my dad did his entire life. He's the best dad ever. And he worked his ass off selling insurance. But these people are amazingly accomplished. So anyway, I think it's a sad testimony to leadership.
No, I think it's a very shallow and insecure person who would act as Lonnie has and many of the people we call leadership.
Yeah.
You have to be very shallow and very insecure to treat people that way.
That's correct. It's a sad life if that's what gets you your jollies. So back to Bob Linn on I don't want to miss anything, talk about anything you want to talk about. So we've covered a lot of territory. Even went over to the Middle East briefly there. So what are we missing? Is there something else you want to talk about? We've talked about the upcoming awesome event this Wednesday. Hopefully I can get a clip out on that for OPAC. But what else is on your mind, Bob?
Well, I'm not sure you've asked. We've talked about some interesting topics, and I began to talk about She Van Fleet and her, what she did. So she's clearly one of our great speakers. John Ashcroft, former U.S. Attorney General, boy, he brought Jesus and humor.
Yeah, he's funny. Enjoyed him
into the meeting. We had who's the guy that the President Biden fired? Matt Lohmeyer. Matt Lohmeyer. He was one of the sharpest guys I've ever met. Good-looking guy. He's so incredibly good-looking. Even our elderly women were just awestruck.
Flirting with your speaker. It's not singles night, ladies, or singles lunch.
Exactly. But Lohmeyer, very intelligent guy. He was in leadership in the Space Force, and he decided, hey, I cannot take the wokeism that is beginning to define the Space Force. Now that Trump is in, he's back on the Space Force.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and he and I communicate. We actually haven't had a meeting, and he hasn't been back to speak. I haven't asked him to speak, but would love to. Rodney Scott has been a board member of ours, and Rodney was Trump's border czar during Trump 1.0.
Oh, during the first one, yeah.
Yeah, he's now back doing border work for Holman.
Yeah,
and he's a fascinating speaker. He's a godly man, humble man, godly man. He's a Nazarene. So I hang out with the Nazarenes, Baptists, and Pentecostals because I know someday they'll all become Presbyterians. That's right. Yeah. So humble, godly man. So he's been a great speaker. But we've had just a number. Eduardo Bolsonaro.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Son of the Brazilian president who was ousted by Joe Biden. And when we flew down, he was vacationing in southeast Oklahoma, and we flew down to pick him up. And Shane and I did, Senator Jett and I. And on the way back, we spoke to him about what happened, and his dad was ousted by Joe Biden. Joe Biden through what was that thing Joe was funding that got defunded by Trump? There was a 4-letter
USAID.
USA.
USAID.
USAID. That's it. USAID. Yeah, that USAID is what brought in the communist into Brazil.
Oh, nice, really. Yeah.
And took his dad out. And, they have now his dad in prison. Eduardo can't go back.
His health isn't good either, I think.
It's in horrible shape, which it was hard for Eduardo. He's a wonderful guy. And so he's spoken a couple of times for us, and once was when John Ashcroft was there. So, that was just a fabulous.
Is he here under political asylum maybe in the U.S.?
That's what I would call it.
That's what I would guess.
Yeah, because.
That's a real political asylum there.
That actually is. Yeah. And frankly, if a guy like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris were ever to work their way back into the White House, he'd be in trouble here.
Well, Kamala, she's talking like she's running again.
She's
working on some new salads, word salads,
she's like
Caesar salads.
She's like an AOC. Did you hear? I'm sure you did. AOC was reading a document about World War II.
No, World War XI, yeah.
And she gets to World War II and it's World War XI and never stops, never. But the fact that she could even articulate the word 11, are you kidding me? When has your teacher ever talk to you about World War XI?
That's a hard thing to misspeak. That's
have you heard that before? Yeah. So this is someone who doesn't.
So Lisa was telling me though about somebody the other day that was speaking about AI. It was somebody that's like in the legislature, I think, and they called it A1.
No way.
I don't know who that was.
In our Oklahoma legislature?
Either that or running for office. You need to ask Lisa about that. No, literally, they were talking about the data centers. So they were talking about the data centers. It's a big thing in Oklahoma because the data centers suck out a lot of electricity, and there's lots of challenges with those. They got to be done right. And knowing our leadership, probably not. But anyway, so this girl, I think it was a female, gets up and speaks about data centers and said, we got to be really careful with this A1 or something.
Oh, my land.
I'm not joking, but I don't know. I don't know if this is a friend or a foe because I don't remember a name or anything, but Lisa mentioned that to me. So, dang it, I can't remember the name.
When AOC did...
Now, it's not surprising it was it would not have surprised me to be AOC.
Yeah, when she did that, you can tell she's never read a book.
Was it? I think it might have been Ilian and Omar, though. Might have been Omar, but maybe it was AOC. It was one of those two bright people.
Really? I thought it was now I'm going to have to check that out.
It was one of those two. It was one of our two bright stars, upcoming bright stars.
That's someone who's never read too many books.
Well, Omar's read a lot about how to defraud the government, but AOC just skips books altogether.
Yeah, but she can mix drinks.
Yeah.
With the best of them, which would make her a great senator under Lonnie Paxton.
True that. Well, that's what it takes to get the votes of a lot of those senators, or some of those senators.
Yeah, Lonnie would love her. Someone talked to a lobbyist this year who said when he was more of a freshman guy, he worked for one of the senators, and his job was to make sure that all the bars that he went out and bought liquor to stock all the bars of the senators.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. So
I've always thought it's so foolish to drink when you're in office. I mean, if you drink, I don't think it's I don't know how to judge people for drinking. You drink a glass of wine, or if you drink booze, what the heck do I care? I always think it's just foolish and stupid if you're a public person to do it while you're in public. If you want to go get trash drunk, go home to your living room and do it at home. If you're a public person.
We're gonna go out on a limb Wednesday and act like Presbyterians at communion. And a good Presbyterian at communion, with it, there will be actual wine in that communion.
It's going to be rough.
And so we're going to at least hold those glasses up and toast in memory of what Alexander Hamilton and that group did when they toasted. But I'm sure we will be tempted to make some jokes about, hey, if we've got some leftover wine, probably a lot of it, maybe Lonnie would like to come and...
Well, they're all gubernatorial candidates, so they all have limo drivers, so they're good. Well,
that's right.
So, is there anybody other guests you want to mention or anything?
Well, we've had so many.
I know you've had a bunch of good ones. I put a picture of my friend Everett Piper up here. I know he spoke at your group. I haven't seen it pop up, but he's in this rotation of pictures. He's a great
one
guy.
Great duo we had was, I think Governor Keating is on our board.
Yeah.
And we've had him twice with Russell Perry.
Okay, yeah.
And when when Frank was governor,
Yeah, they wouldn't confirm Russell Perry,
the
right?
Senate would not confirm it. Democrat-led Senate. Here we have the Democrats who have oppressed blacks in every way you can oppress blacks.
Oh, yeah, still do today.
And the Tulsa riot up there, those were Democrats.
Right.
And so Frank says, "Hey, Russell Perry, maybe the wealthiest black guy until the basketball team came to town, but very wealthy, successful guy. Make him Secretary of Commerce." In the Senate, it has to go through the Senate. He couldn't even get a hearing from the Democrats. So Frank and I were talking. This has now been probably one or two summers ago, and we have breakfast on occasion, and he'll often bring a couple things up, and that's one of them. I said, well, Frank, we now have Republicans in charge, and boy, his brain got to go, and he says, yeah, we could probably do something and bring him in, whatever you might call that, say, hey, we're going to...
Honorary deal or something.
Yeah, so we put that, Shane put that together, and Frank and Shane talked about that and put that together. And so we all stood on the Senate floor and gave him a commendation, and that was great for Russell Perry, what is just a really gracious guy.
Yeah, I don't know Mr. Perry, but I've always heard great things about him, and I think isn't he doing something in government now, or am I thinking of the wrong?
I don't think so.
Oh, no, okay, all right.
Russell's health hasn't been great, but when you're in his presence, you sense he's very, very sedate, very comfortable
Right.
with who he is. He's not angry at anyone. And he told me the story. He was an all-state quarterback. I don't know how he managed to get those votes, but as a black guy, but he was an all-state quarterback, and so he was in Tulsa at for a practice or something. They're going to have the all-state game, and I think he might have been in a suit and tie because he just thought that's how you should be.
Yeah.
Went to a place like a hot dog stand, a Coke stand to get a Coke, and the guy said, "Yeah, you're the wrong color."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
With a coat on, even.
Yeah. Russell told me that story, and I thought, "You really?"
What year would this have been? 60s, I guess. 50s.
You'd have to go back and
Yeah.
think about how old Russell is. He would have been 17. Russell's story, he tells his story. His story is amazing. But when he was 10 years old, his mom said, and his mom and dad were separated. She said, well, I just, I can't support you anymore, and your dad is going to take care of you, and he's going to be out the street and pick you up. So he says, I packed my suitcase, and I said, now, Russell, tell me, was it a suitcase or was it a grocery bag? It was a grocery bag.
Oh, seriously? Oh, my gosh. Wow.
And so I go out and I meet my dad. We drive for a few minutes, and I said something about, staying with him. And his dad looks at him and says, what are you talking about? You're not staying with me. I'm remarried. I got too many kids in the house. So at 10 years old, Russell told his dad, just stop the car. And he got out with his grocery bag of clothes. And he said, at that moment, I realized at 10 I was a man.
Oh, my God.
And I was in charge of my own life. He got a job as a janitor. He made enough money to live. He had a family that was gracious to him, let him stay with them. I don't know all the details of all of that, but I know he worked nights. And the school knew his story, so the school said, this shows you why he's a Republican. The school said, hey, Russell, we know your story. You don't have to buy your lunch. It's comped. And Russell said, no, I'm not going to get a free lunch. I have money. I'll pay for my own lunch.
There are no free lunches.
Yeah, and well, that's spoken as a true Republican.
That's right. Yeah, it's The bill comes eventually. It may not be today or tomorrow, but the bill comes.
So as Frank and Russell are there together, and Frank always I love it. Frank tells this story when Frank was a little boy. He and his brother rode horses, and they were in a horse show up in Tulsa, and their dad took him there, and he had to use the restroom, and so Dad, where's the restroom? And he said, well, you see that sign up there? Yeah. Well, it's where that arrow points is the restroom. So he went to the restroom, came back, and then he said, now, Dad, what does that sign mean? And he said, that sign is why you will never be a Democrat. And, of course, the sign said, no allowed.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, if you can imagine, that would have been when Frank was a kid.
Yeah.
And, Russell has had that term used. Russell told me, and Frank loves telling that story. He usually doesn't use the N-word, but that's what the sign said. And that's what Democrats, he said, his dad said, that's why you will never be a Democrat.
Well, what's so ironic about, we talked about this earlier, you had Democrats that, they filibustered the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah.
They wanted to keep black people in their place for as long as possible. And then now they're doing the same thing with other races. I mean, they push this DEI stuff, which really tells white and Asian and other non-preferred minorities or majorities that you're not allowed in the bathroom. You're not allowed here. You're not allowed for this job. You're not allowed for this thing. It's not helping one. It's hurting another. I mean, in same way with putting men pretending to be women over women. I mean, it's their whole life, their whole history as a party is all about discrimination from the very, very beginning, from the horrible Supreme Court decisions about slavery to modern day. It is all about discrimination and race baiting and all those things. How anybody can vote for Democrat is beyond me. I don't get it, but whatever.
They're the ones hanging the blacks in the South, and they're the ones hanging white Republicans who would dare, because all the blacks are Republicans.
Yeah.
They are a godless racist.
So, but why do normal people keep voting? They need to start waking up and saying, well, wait a minute. This is ridiculous. Find a Republican that's closer to what you believe and vote for them. Why would you continue to vote for racist, discriminatory, a lot of these people are white liberals. They're really discriminating against their own offspring. It reminds me that, we talked about Senator Coleman. I'll never forget the debate on the Senate floor where he pulled up a bill for DEI in Oklahoma. I think I mentioned this to you before. It's a DEI bill that says that the only person that can't participate in this program for the state of Oklahoma is a white male, period. That's it. So white males not allowed. Your sign would say no white males.
Right.
That's your sign now. No honkies. No honkies allowed.
It'd say no honkies.
No honkies. And that's right. And so his bill was the no honky bill. And it passed in Oklahoma. And I asked him on the floor of the Senate, I said, what about, you're white, right? Yes, I am. I said, what about your son? And he goes, well, my son would never want to work in this program. I said, so your lineage ends there? You're never going to have grandchildren and great-grandchildren? Not one person in the line of your family might want to participate in this program? And he just didn't answer. I mean, he's a white person that's supposedly a Republican, obviously not, but white person carrying a bill in Oklahoma that discriminates against his own children and grandchildren and great children. So if his grandchild comes up and comes to him one day and says, Grandpa, this state has this opportunity where I can go be a welder on this new project at the Capitol. Well, go apply. Go apply, son. Go try. Well, I can't because the bill you passed says I can't because I'm white, you moron. Why would you do that? I mean, I don't get that, but.
No, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane.
It's not as bad as we were to blacks, admittedly, but it's the same thing. It's just not as bad and not as in your face, but it's a very similar thing.
Well, these are people that are too shallow to be senators. They have no business, and I think of that as the football coach out of Tulsa is that way. I don't think he understands anything of what he's doing.
He's a nice guy.
A nice guy. A nice guy who has no business in politics.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of nice guys up there with no business in politics.
Well, Bill Coleman's, I'm picking on him. He's a nice guy, but he's, why would you ever carry? I mean, Kevin Matthews, Senator Matthews got a little short with me because I was questioning hard and debating hard on it. And he was, he's an African-American. I got along with Senator Matthews, great guy, a black senator from Tulsa. And after the vote, he asked me to come in the foyer to visit with him about it. He said, "Well, Rob, you don't understand how hard, the young people in my district, the black young kids, how hard they have it, and blah, blah, they need this work." And I said, "I'm going to ask you a question, Kevin. Switch roles. Pretend I was carrying a bill that said your black son cannot participate. Tell me, would you debate against that and vote against that?" "Well, yeah, okay." That's all I want to know. That's it. That's it. I mean, it's a very simple question. And he goes, "Yeah, you're right, Rob. I understand." He was very, very much a gentleman about it. He understood better than the guy that was carrying the bill that just did it because the chamber asked him to do, and probably bought him a couple glasses of Chivas Regal to go with it.
So you think that was a chamber deal?
Oh, for sure, yeah. And they've discontinued the program, I think, but it's still going on they partner with the federal government now because there's still DEI at the federal level, sadly.
Yeah, I don't know why that's still there. I would have thought Trump would have.
Well, so the Supreme Court made these rulings back 50, 75 years ago that said, for past discrimination, you can do that. And I get that. So if the discrimination is there now, you can reverse it by saying, okay, we're going to get these guys jobs. That's where it started, and it's never stopped. So at some point, you got to do like the Supreme Court recently did and said, enough. We've repaired the damage. Now it's time to move forward as a colorblind or non-discriminatory society. But so what else is on your mind, Bob? Great discussion.
Let me. You can edit this out if you want to. I'm going to pull up this notepad that you sent to me with some questions, and I'm just going to make sure that while I'm here, because odds are you'll never ever call me back to be on the program.
That's not true.
So we've talked about the Freedom Caucus, and so
the ones that are able to speak, they got elected so they could speak.
Exactly. So I would just invite all of your listeners. Again, this is our finale. We're not going to pass out the toast will not be available to everyone, although everyone will have water, tea, whatever they can toast.
And they can drink as much of that as they like, right?
They can. And our plan is to have a couple of glass bottles of Coke in case one of the gubernatorial candidates who might happen to be Pentecostal or something, that although they've all okayed that
it's going to be great. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, but I thought it would be hilarious if one of the guys would be toasting with a Coke bottle in his hand.
That's probably what I would do, although I do like wine. But it's going to be an awesome meeting. I would say everybody, if you can, it's in Oklahoma City, 11:30, 12 at the Oklahoma History Center. The museum opens at 10, you say?
It opens at 10.
You can come early and walk around. It's just cool exhibits that you can see.
You can go through the museum, and we're going to have our country western music will start about 11:45
with Ty England. Right. It's going to be singing, and that's going to be awesome. Have all the governor or most of the gubernatorial candidates there. There's more than just 5, but it's at least 5 minus 1. There's at least 4 there.
We consider there are 2. God bless their souls. They won't get too many votes.
That's right, and that's just reality, sadly. But
why they're running, and so I can't afford the time. I can't afford the time to have guys that are non-contenders.
Right.
Just embellish their childhood dreams on my time. I don't have the time for that.
Well, I think it's going to be a great event. I encourage everybody to go. Say hi to Bob Linn while you're there. Thank you for being on my show, and say hi. Shake the hands of the governor. It's a rare time where you'll be that close and personal with these guys, because one of them is going to be governor one day, and they might take your phone calls, but they're more likely to take your phone calls if they shook your hand at an OPEC meeting.
Exactly, and they'll all be back in the room at some point, especially if they're whoever's elected governor will certainly be back in that room at our meeting.
Well, Governor Stitt's been by there numerous times.
Numerous times, he has. Yeah. And, you mentioned speakers, and I don't know if you even, of course, you can cut this out, but you mentioned speakers, and the one nationally known, maybe internationally known speaker we've had is Ryan Walters.
Oh, yeah. And he spoke there a few times. I was there when he was speaking once.
He's been there a number of times. The crowd loves him. And, I'm accused of being his biggest supporter, diehard supporter, and still am. I was on the phone with him a few days ago and was impressed at his godliness. He loves the Word of God.
Yeah.
He loves his family, and he loves his wife. And these were things he talked to me about a few days ago. And what he's doing with the TPUSA adjacent organization, Teachers Freedom, I think.
It's the stand-up group against these out-of-control teachers unions. Right. Is what it is my understanding.
Yes, and giving these people, and he's been very successful. Yeah. Hundreds of people have signed up, and enabling these teachers to leave the ungodly atmosphere and influence of the teachers' unions who want LGBT flags in all the classrooms and want that as a point of discussion. They want pornography in our libraries.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What really amazed me about that, and I know Ryan could be confrontational sometimes, but I think his heart was in the right place. And one of the things he was able to accomplish was the social studies standards. And I don't know if anybody's looked at those, but they were great. I mean, the only thing they really did was they included a little bit of what faith has played, Christianity has played in the history of our state, in our country. Well, and it's played a huge role. There's no denying it. Our country started from the pulpit. There's no denying it. And so it played a big role. It wasn't over the top. And it mentioned something about the 2020 election being contested, which it was.
Right.
And because of that, as soon as they took over, these supposed conservatives, as soon as they took over the Board of Education, they threw out the standards. I mean, it's like, and I hate to put it in this tone, but it's like he let God in the school just a little bit. God stuck his nose in, and these supposed conservatives kicked God in the nuts the second he stuck his nose in, and kicked him right back out of school before he ever really had a chance to come in.
Well, they have a lot to answer for.
They do. I don't understand that. I mean, how is that? I mean, we talked for years about why don't we have, I tried to pass legislation to allow Bible studies at school, and I did the Pledge of Allegiance. I did all these things because I want God. That's why kids go to Christian school when they're young. I want God in my kids' lives as much as possible. Now, I don't want it being taught by an atheist, so I just want him in there. Like, I don't want a sermon. I don't want preaching, but I want them to be known that God can be everywhere with them, not that God is prohibited from being there.
Well, I remember I was at the Capitol, and there was a group of young kids protesting something. I couldn't tell by the signs what the deal was, so I talked to one of the guys. He's a good-looking, sharp-looking guy with this little sign. And I said, "Hey, I'm curious, what's your sign? What are you doing?" He says, "Well, we're protesting the, I think it was Dan Fisher were leading that, the new history standards, advanced history standards." And really, so you don't want those? No. I said, well, so tell me, did when this nation began, did preachers play any role in that? He said, no. I said, okay.
Oh my God.
So let me ask you a second question. If it's true what you said, that the preachers and the churches played no role in the founding of America, why is it that the King of England referred to the Revolutionary War as a Presbyterian rebellion? He said, I have no idea. I said, the reason you don't know anything is because you haven't been taught anything, and that's why we're running this legislation. Yeah. And I walked off.
And they don't even know why they're
no, they don't.
Protest. They have no clue.
They've
been told by the unions or whoever to protest.
I remember seeing 100 kids out on Main Street. I happened to be driving from the east side back home to the west side, and I saw these kids, hundreds of them, on the lawn of Norman High School, protesting the weather, not the weather, global warming.
They might as well be protesting the weather. Too hot today.
Yeah, couple teachers standing out there, and I said, "Are you kidding me?" So, I mean, I'm driving. They're right next to me, so I'm taking pictures with my cell phone. So I turn around, I come back, take more pictures. I put it in our newsletter. These kids, the reason these kids are idiots is because their teachers are idiots, and their teachers are idiots because their university professors are idiots.
Yeah.
You know, I've talked to some of these folks. I've talked to doctors, and I'm convinced. I guess maybe you were good at passing tests because you don't have the intuition of what we would call common sense. You probably don't have scientific intuitions. Anybody who, well, you know, just recently, I don't know if it was yesterday, 2 days ago, or last week, but the United Nations, and I'm not sure it's the United Nations, but that's that group that Soros puts together, pushing global climate heresy.
Yeah. Con job.
They've admitted it's all wrong.
That's right. I saw that. Right. That they're way, way overblown. And Al
wrong.
Gore, I think, died on the spot. I think he's dead now. I think he had a heart attack and died. Well, Bob, it has been a blast as always. Love you, brother. And anytime you want to come back on, you're welcome. But I will get out, promote the OPAC meeting this week. Hope everybody comes. But thanks for being on.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.